All right, let's see if we are up and at 'em. Okie doke. Let's see. Clicking into my channel, see if my link is live. Grabbing a hyperlink. Yeah, it looks like I can see myself. There I am. The volume is good. We'll drop that volume down so that you don't have to hear me echoing into the void. I'm going to shout enough into the void as it is for it to echo, right? So I'm doing some social media links here real quick, and then we're going to get to work. So for those that are not yet indoctrinated, my name is Phil Kearney. Hey, I create role-playing games. I illustrate them. I publish them online. And I've been running games since 1987. The Eberron campaign world, where we're building an adventure. I've been using Eberron as my homebrew campaign since 2006. Happy 20th anniversary, Eberron. Got that done. I've been creating content on the DMsGuild since 2017, and this is the first adventure that I've created. So I'm on the X Twitter platform at Phil Kearney. You can catch me there. Otherwise, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, get notifications of when we are live in the future. We are on episode number 300 now, folks. Oh yeah, we've been at this for a while. Here's the entire playlist. We created a book cover back around episode 40. So you can jump to the Wayback Machine there and check it out. We've built a ton of tokens, maps, and assets for this adventure since episode 1 till now. And we're about to start page layouts next month. So I'm just cleaning up some of the language on the artifacts and and the ritual itself, just making it a little bit more efficient to read. And then all of our components will be in place. We can start dropping it into the document and moving forward. So I'm really excited about that. But we still have maps to do. So let's keep mapping while we're at it. We are up and over here right now, cleaning up this, and we are at 3 pixels. So we're making a tree. This is up a tree. This is one of the pre-generated encounters. There's random encounter tables for each region. So the adventure is broken up into 3 acts. Act 1, 2, and 3. Act 1 has 2 regions. Act 2 has 4 regions. Well, 1 large region with 3 areas inside of the region, but there's also there's also the areas between those, the space between those areas. So it's technically 4 different regions in the second act, and then in the third act there's 1 region. And there's there's a number of really large dungeons. There's the village itself, where undead can attack if you wish. That's like a 55-inch grid. There's multiple forest encounters, including the one that we're making right now. These are 30 by 40s, so not nearly as large as the town map, but there is the cemetery map. That's 52 by 52 inches. There's the flooded fort, which is, I believe, 60 by 40. There's the gatehouse, which is only a 40 by 40 map. And then there is the underground research facility, which is 75 by 75 inches. So there's a lot of stuff, a lot of space to cover. Each of these different map regions has its own random encounters. It has set encounters, random encounters. Set encounters have their own stat blocks and like if then, logic trees, like what's going on in this encounter, what's the goals and stuff like that. Those are pre-generated encounters. There are random encounter tables that can use the tools from the toolkits that we've been building, like this forest token toolkit. You can just build a forest pretty quickly and just slap some trees down and dump some terrain in the empty spaces, and you're good to go. And so you can just roll random, you roll random encounters, and here you go. Here's some things that are going to mess with you, and here's a random map. Go fight. And then there's optional encounters, which are pre-generated, but might not necessarily, like the DM might want to skip them. Whether they're, you know, if the DM deems them useful and necessary and didn't want to just random up something when something with a little bit more bite, they're thematic. They're like, if you add them, they add to the story and the plot of the adventures, so they're good to use, but they, again, they are not necessary. So that's why they call it optional encounters. So anyway, those are 3 style of adventures that of encounters that are in this book. So they're like maybe 20 different encounters. That feels about right. All the maps are full color for virtual tabletop. All the tokens are full color, but there's also black and white versions of everything too. So if you just wanted to use a laser printer to burn out some maps, we'll break them up into print size paper that you can feed through. Okay, so see how long this branch is? It needs to thicken. Every time it hits one of these points, it wants to thicken a little bit, and thicken a little bit, and then thicken a little bit, and thicken a little bit. So I need about, and then thicken, yeah. So that's why you start at the tip and work your way in, because all of this stuff needs to thicken up as it, because a wider branch closer to the trunk has to support the rest of the weight. So it gets more and more. It gets less and less massive as it moves further and further away from the tree, but you have to depict that. That's the illustration job. When I'm painting forest terrain, like Bob Ross, I don't worry about these details so much. They're quick and impressionistic and impressionismist. Anyway, my brain clicked into place last night. If you caught the Martial Power stream at lunch yesterday, Tuesday, August 13th, it would have been. We were looking at reactions, and my brain, and I figured it would. My brain clicked into place. The obvious solution for the reaction dilemma is to stop delineating one type of reaction from another. Instead of making it more complex and provisional, simplify it so you don't have to think about the rules at all. And so the right way to do that is to lower the level. So it'll be actually it needs to stay second level. It needs to be a second rank power, so you can't get access to it until 5th level. So it can gatekeep. You don't want full casters getting access to this technology easily. They're gonna have to pay for it with their 9th level spells. So and they're 9th level spells. So you want to have it be second rank so they don't get access to it until 5th level. But it will. Instead of defining opportunities, we're just going to call them reactions. So an opportunity attack is a reaction, and you can use these reactions anytime that the triggering condition occurs. And so opportunist then becomes sacrifice an attack, gain a reaction, and not specify what the reaction is. Remove the free mana that you get every time you use a reaction, and instead you get, so if you sacrifice like 2 attacks, then you then have 3 reactions before the beginning of your next turn. And you can sacrifice any number of those reactions to gain free mana for the reaction that you're currently using. Since you're not guaranteed to use another reaction, giving them the opportunity to burn off those unneeded reactions with additional free mana is a good idea. And if like you wanted to hold a reaction to do something specific as a reaction, then you could sizzle your reactions to fuel the mana to do that thing basically for free as your reaction. So reaction, reaction, reaction. I think that's the solution I was looking for. And it wasn't, I liked it that we delved deeper into complexity to be able to understand the machinations a little bit better. And we got to the bottom of it, we realized that there doesn't need to be any special opportunity, quote unquote, delineation. That's what feels best. See, this is thinner than it is here. Look how, like that's just gonna snap off. That's not strong and stable. So I need to come in here and sculpt this out a little bit more. I'm gonna need a very thick branch, which is good because it's supposed to be able. It theoretically can hold their weight. One of the branches didn't, so having thinness is fine. So the problem with in this encounter specifically, there's NPCs that are, as the title encourages, up a tree. And there's a swarm of undead that are trying to figure out how they can get into the tree. They just can't figure it out, so they wait. And then one of the characters fell asleep, fell out of the tree, and that character was over. So the other two are terrified about falling asleep, but they have no way out. They're waiting for someone to honestly just lure them away so that they can run away themselves. So if the team can come in and just kill them, the undead that is, then you can clear the path for them to get down out of the tree and go on with their day. But they can also then provide the players with as much contextual information about the adventure and where they're heading and what they'll be facing as the DM deems appropriate. So you're setting up. It's an option. You don't need to have that if the DM wants you going in without that information because they want to reveal stuff differently later on. They can just skip that encounter. Or they can change who's in the tree so that they're less useful. Or they can change who's in the tree to be somebody else so they're more useful. So there's variant plot hooks that are presented in one of the appendices at the end of the book. And a number of these optional encounters are modified by which adventuring hook you're leading the characters into, because you can have different NPCs provide different information that the characters don't know, given which hook they're using. Like if you use the sheriff hook, you don't know anything about Aether Academy or the 12 or what's going, or like that there's a ritual happening at all. Unless you also borrowed elements like from the Aether Academy hook, where you're hired to find the lost artifact and bring it back and collect evidence of who stole it so that they can prosecute. Like that's a great plot hook for a deputy, a sheriff's deputy. So you can blend those two plot hooks together, gain the through investigation by the Aether Academy. They volunteer information to you. So you get all of the assets and resources from the Aether Academy plot hook, and you get all the assets and resources from the sheriff deputy, the deputy's plot hook, which is the default plot hook of the adventure. The adventure assumes that you're deputized, so that you can go around and ask questions and demand answers, and have the authority to take people into custody. Or your team could be assassins, hired to eliminate the current possessors of the artifact secure the facility and escort in replacement thaumaturgists to perform the ritual instead. So you're hired by an evil organization to eliminate members of another evil organization to secure power and steal resources from them. What can go wrong? But that one can work with Aether Academy as well. Aether Academy could be doing underhanded shit, and somebody's not sticking to the program. So they put out the secret organization that funds the Aether Academy projects can hire the team on behalf of the organization. The organization is called the 12, in case you're interested. They're a Legion of Doom type of setup. Super powerful adventuring character types. High enough level to shape the fabric of reality around them, and sometimes they're up to no good. Feels pretty good. I'm gonna make a little. I'll make an extension here. That feels right. Let's push that up like that, and then we can thin this down. Good. So this tree, we're doing these branches here right now because it's the art stream and it's Wednesday morning. Welcome to it. But I'll finish this up off camera tonight, and so when we come back, we'll colorize. Coloring this shouldn't take very long, and then we can. Turn that down a little bit and zoom in. Straighten that out. There we go. I went silent there for a moment. Since I have to thicken this and this, I need to thicken here to lead into it, and that's actually too thick. You can't get too thick too quick because that'll feel unnatural too. It'll be all bunched up like flesh at the top of a sock. There, that feels better. That feels, yeah, that, still a little thick. Put a little bit more of a bend into it. That'll help thin it down a little bit. Little bows, those curves like that, are real shock absorbers. You know from archery, a bow, how much flex and resistance it can create. So these tree branches are basically bows under pressure their entire existence. So they need the water to keep limber. Otherwise, they dry up and get brittle, and then they can't flex. And that's when they lose branches, and they starve down a little bit. When they lose a branch, they get hungrier. There, that feels pretty natural now. Thicken this a touch. There, that looks pretty good. There we go. Now we're gonna make a little. Hey, I spotted with my eyes some text. What's up? Who we got? Hey, Nitro, how you doing, my guy? Yeah, I know, right? Welcome to the mix, my man. Yeah, I'm doing great. We're coming along. Everything is coming along. Everything moves forward slowly but surely. Page layouts should begin next month. Maybe even before September. Very, very soon. Oh, yeah, it's the 14th. Maybe as soon as next week, I think I might be starting layouts. So that'll be a challenge. I don't do most layouts on stream. I'll still have artwork to do, but I can start the process of getting all the text on the pages proper and start planning things out, the look of it. Some of that stuff I can do on screen, and some of that, and a lot of that stuff I won't. It's watching me push text around is the most entertaining thing. I'm gonna thicken this up a little bit. And the Martial Powers playtest is coming along great, really simplifying and locking down the technical bits, not only of each individual power, but just like the theme of how things work in general. And I've already had some really good rebalancing for exploits. So this has been a really, really productive playtest so far. And my home life is good. I'm a genuinely happy person. Yeah, we want to start. I'm going to start here and work our way in. I'm glad you swung by me, man. I didn't really plan out anything for the 300th, didn't I? Just more of the same. It's another day at work. Yeah, I did not know how much work would go into making an adventure when I decided to make an adventure. But boy, it is a lot of fucking work. I think I want to do like little 5-room dungeons or like, 1-page dungeons, something more concise in the future. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but ironically, as I say that, there's another adventure of this style and format and magnitude that I want to do. Yeah, I want to do at least one more of these. Having said that, 400 episodes later, yeah, I want to do another one. Another Eberron adventure, another like with the optional plot hooks and variables and the Anyway, it's at the top. It's on a mountain, so it's a very different environment and a very different story, and but still like good guy, bad guy plot lines and being able to blend things together and 3 distinct regions to move through from the beginning to the end of the adventure, and it's fun. It's fun. I ran it before. I built it. I built it as a playtest for the martial powers, or for the color mana system when it first came out, back in I think it was 2018 that I ran this 6-hour one-shot adventure. We broke it up into 2 parts. It was on stream, and there's a link to it in the core mana product page. But I basically built an Eberron adventure using color mana, and ran a bunch of people through that had never ran an Eberron before and were familiar with with Magic the Gathering, but hadn't used the mana system before. They're like, yeah, we'll host a game for you. Let's play. So I ran a game, and it was fun as fuck. And so like I will eventually make that adventure. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Hey, what's up? You could maybe include stock 5-room dungeons in the adventure generator that spawned this. Yeah. Good point. That could work. And yeah, that whole. You notice how, like, when I first created that AI as a potential dungeon assistant wasn't even really on anybody's radar. And now these D100 lists of different plot elements to create an adventure is like just feeding those into an algorithm and say, make all those words tie together in sentences better with some extra padding to it. It's like that is, I think, like a legit use of an AI. So we'll see what happens. But I love random tables. I love generators because that converts our dice into a random generating machine, right? An RNG machine for like randomly rolling loot and stuff, and Path of Exile and Diablo. That stuff's been around since the 70s. It's just we used to have to roll the dice ourselves. It's just Diablo and Path of Exile, just like. Since it's a computer game and it's a muscle twitch game, it can really jack the amount of loot that you get up extremely. It'd be obnoxious to roll a random table for every loot drop that an elite mob would dump after you kill it in Path of Exile. It's like, that's why you curate you have your dragon horde and like just otherwise have like little occasional baubles, so that you don't overwhelm yourself with having to generate too much stuff. But I love a good generator. Big fan of it. Obviously, the Rubble Belt terrain generator that I've been working on for the playtest, it's doing the job. I could easily see myself converting that into a little playtest PDF module thing. And that's another thing, like, is this RNG? You can easily just feed that into a computer and says, give me a 500-mile grid of Ravnica Rubble Belt, please, and it'll spit out the land types, the colors, whether there's elevation or just surface level terrain. Is there subterranean stuff? Blah blah blah. The playtest on Monday, the team got into a steam pipe, a steam vent exchange. It was a piece of scrapped out infrastructure ruined by the desolation of the Rubble Belt, but it's still there in pieces. And the way that the world of Ravnica world works is that the surface level of the world is synthetic. The actual ground and mountains that exist on the planet have been buried underneath urban sprawl that's been layered over itself into undercity layers until you get to the surface, and then there's skyscrapers, and then there's floating islands even further up. So like what, Everest? I think Mount Everest is what, 3 miles tall, and the Eberron, the Ravnica campaign setting describes the world as having completely covered over, like only the actual tips of mountains remain visible, and is the only. And other than that, the absolute massive free fall into holes in the city where called zonots, where you can still see native ocean at the water level of the planet, like 2 miles down. So it's like a 2-mile shaft that leads down into the ocean. Like, those exist, and then the tips of mountains exist, like 2 miles up. So that's how much urban sprawl has been compressed into concrete over the eons of this magic city existing, and all of that compressed undercity, that shalifying of an entire civilization. Pockets of it exist literally across the entire planet. So anywhere inside the rubble belt or in actual urban sprawl, all you got to do is just start digging down, and you will find underdark dungeon complexes of various degrees in conditions, with monsters and forgotten mana sources and artifacts and rogue enchantments and living spells and all sorts of crazy shit. All that stuff exists like literally like right under your feet. It just depends on how far below surface are you. Golgari and Rakdos, that's where they dwell. Dimir hides in that space as well. So ancient crypts that are forgotten, that Orzhov still has ghosts enslaved to them that remembered those old neighborhoods because they grew up there 2,000 years ago. So there's all these crazy opportunities to dive underground and not see the sun for years. And the team was hey Ren, how you doing? Finn, sorry, F1. Hey, great, thank you. It's been a while. Too long. No guilt. Just there's been a lot of faces that have rolled through us. It took me a moment. Well met. But yeah, so the Ravnica Martial Powers playtest, they were in a Steam exchange, a piece of infrastructure, pipe work that runs throughout the city, Steam networks. Izzet being blue and red. Blue being water, red being fire. It's natural that Izzet would utilize Steam as power. And since they're in charge of building all the infrastructure to make the city work, the city has an unusual reliance on Steam power, simply because that's an Izzet fetish. So, but they can also use it to convey mana. Like you can infuse the Steam with mana, so that when it hits a turbine, it can have more. It can yield more work than the steam and gears themselves would seem to normally be able to generate. It's the mana infusion that allows the infrastructure process of the work, if that makes sense. But all that stuff is literally underneath the character's feet at any time. So they got to this exchange, and there was the potential that they may have found a path into the Underdark that they may have decided to take. And then the entire Hexcrawl campaign could have been Underdark Hexcrawl, and they can do that pretty much any time that they want. I just don't prep underneath the surface until they go there. So I have enough surface level dungeon, like 5-room dungeon space built out, that I can waylay them for the 4 hours that a session runs, and then I'd have a whole week here to build out another. Like if you build your world in the format of 5-room dungeons, you can build an infinite number of dungeons by like dungeons at the 5-foot scale is what you expect, but then you can have that dungeon inside of a complex, and the complex itself is a 5-room dungeon at the 50-foot scale. and that complex can be part of a larger region, or like a compound, or like a city, or a larger facility like that at the 500-foot scale. It would be a 5-room dungeon, so it'd be basically sprawling like roughly a half-mile space. So that's a decent-sized facility, and then you can have that facility be one of the nodes in a 5-room dungeon at the 1-mile scale. So each of these locations is occupying a mile that is inside of the 10-mile tile that the team is currently traversing through, and then you pan out again, and then you're at the 100-mile scale, where it's a 5-room dungeon to get back to society from the rubble belt where you're at. And then from there, if you pan out again to the 1,000-mile scale, now you're looking at the entire world of Ravnica. And like in this area, like this is one of the districts in this 1,000-mile block. And then over in this 1,000-mile block, there'll be a space in between, 1,000 miles separating them. And then another 1,000-mile block would be another district, and there's 10 districts around the planet. So that's how you can scale out an urban world from the 5-foot scale to the 5,000-mile scale. Or sorry, from the 5-foot scale to the 10,000-mile scale. 5 feet, 50 feet, 500 feet, 5,000 feet, which is 1 mile, 10 miles, 100 miles, 1,000 miles, and then 10,000 miles. And the world of Eberron sits inside of a 10,000-mile space. So that's how, but since the entire world is urban sprawl, you can look at it as like organizing into department stores. Like in Japan, you'll have a skyscraper that has so many connections to the skyscraper next to it that they basically fuse together. And there's all the different levels are connected to each other by elevators and stairwells and open spaces. They're like these vertical sky malls, and you can drift from department store to department store, and there's no real organization. They just, wherever a space opens up, a place will move in, just like at malls in America. But that's basically what Ravnica's like. Like for this next mile block, this is Azorius data center, and then it shifts into Orzhov birthright records, right? And then yada 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 yada. Maybe like next to that is a Rakdos Union House. Who knows? But it's all compressed urbanization. So whatever structure you're in, that's your structure. And if you want to see sunlight, you generally have to go up. And so then you get to Azorius, or Orzhov. Orzhov and Orzorius and Simic basically have the sky views. Being the richest of the organizations, they have the highest vantage point in the city in the city world. It's like the floating islands and the top of the skyscrapers and stuff. That's always going to be blue and white type energy. Boros has flying citadels because they're all angels. They all have flight. So if it's white, it's basically at the top, and blue gets up there too with Azorius, and then Simic squeezes their way in with blue-green, but they have sky tower. They have sky presence because they create flying creatures that are used as mounts and pets and blah blah blah. Like having a flying pet in a world that's over a mile tall is really useful, because if that pet falls, you lose your pet unless it can come back somehow. Hey, what's up? What'd I miss? It's been a long time. Yeah. Man, you are welcome to come by anytime. Any of you guys, of course. Thanks for being around. I love how everything's been evolving. So yeah, so the playtest is going really good. I'm liking how it's happening. There's lots of opportunities. But yeah, I was on a tangent about 5-room dungeons, wasn't I? Well, that's right. I was talking about the general composition of this adventure. Oh yeah, I was talking about trees. I'm all over the place today. Thank you, timer. God, what time is it? 7:25. Okay, we got another 20 some odd minutes. It's looking pretty good now. Yeah, right on. So which one is dominant? It's a pretty even split. This one seems to have a little bit more bulk than this one, but that could be... Is this one artificially thin? Maybe I need to thicken this one up a bit. Yeah, that seems appropriate thickness. There. I like the little jigs in the little crooks in the bow. I think that looks cool. Thickening. So yeah, this is the dominant branch here. I feel like there should be a crook here. Not crook, another fork. Spoon! Yeah, that's feeling more balanced. I also feel like there should be something in this space here. I don't want to overthink it. And the team is approaching from a southward or down. That down is south. So they're approaching from a southward direction. So I don't think I've specifically sculpted the branches to be like south facing. I think I did a pretty good job not thinking about that when I was building this. This should be a little thicker, I think. That's too thick. That is too thick. I need to thin you up a little bit. I'm being nitpicky, but whatever. That's feeling better. I feel like this should be a little thicker. So yeah, we can do like that. God, that bend is crazy. I want to just grab this here and bend it back a bit. Now that crook is really interesting. occasional snapped off branches here causes it to bend in a different direction. That's a little thin. I don't think I got to this one. It's like I have to go back and check all these little rogue branches because sometimes I miss one. Obviously, I was working on this one, but I don't think I. Seems a little thin for its size. Let's just add some girth to it. That feels much more natural. Huh, maybe I want to flip this. Now I'm really being nitpicky. Flip. Ooh, that's not wrong. That's right. Let's merge that down. That's fun. I like that. It's starting to get too thick too quick. This is good. That means we found the point and it's inside there. God, this is all off the same bow. That's crazy. That is a strong, strong bow. It's too thick. here. God, it's such a thick branch. It's like, it's branch. It's, the Missouri in me just came out. Could you hear that? That branch. Get that hick accent rolling in on occasion. Doesn't flare its head very often, but can't get the ranch out of me. But yeah, this definitely shifted the weight. Get that built out. All right, I'm going to drop the grid in here so you guys can see. This is the 5-foot scale, so decent sized tree. It's probably going to end up pulling more into here, I reckon. Using such language today. Yeah, it feels off center. About 5 feet thick at this point. It's a good sized tree. Definitely peeling in that direction. Oof. I was not supposed to merge those down. I need to unmerge these before I get any further, before I cause myself any trouble. Canvas. No, canopy. Canopy. Trunk. There you go. I feel like these should be a bit shorter, more drawn in. That. And we can shift these a little bit more towards the center. That feels a bit better. Better, not bitter. Freudian slip there, don't mind me. Okay, so we're building branches. Let's keep building branches. Where are we at on time? 42? All right. I'm going to give myself a 10-minute timer. Make it 12. Discovered Beacon 21 on Amazon. That seems interesting. And I've been enjoying the 4th season of Umbrella Academy very much. If you haven't seen Umbrella Academy, I think it's on Netflix. Very worth your time. I understand it was a comic book originally, of course. Because most good fantasy action adventure stuff were comics or novels first. Just like most great anime was a manga first. That's how it got made into an anime in the first place, is by being a great manga. That's how you get funding. I want to get rid of the grid. The grid's got to go. It blocks my view too much. Confuses me when I'm working on lines. Taper over here as well. I'm going to grab this whole structure, tilt it a little bit. Nah, just this branch. Got a rib out of place. I tilt my head so it pulls my spine, so it stretches my rib cage open. Oh, you hear that? Oh, that's gonna cause swirls. Yep, that's causing swirls. That was a very, very strong pop. Five, four, we're at 4. Let's go out here at the fringe. this down just a touch. Good. I hear seagulls. That's awesome. I love when the seagulls visit my neighborhood. It's great. We're about 3 miles away from shoreline, from the shoreline. A little inland. It's a very straight branch. My breath really wants attention this morning. That rib pop kind of opened up a little space in my rib cage. I'm actually pulling in a little bit more air, more oxygen than I'm used to. It's making me a little lightheaded. This happened to a friend of mine a couple years ago. He had been in a car wreck, and his oxygen supply had been reduced for like maybe 12 years, and then all of a sudden it popped open while we were hanging out, and he could barely speak. He was so flooded. I am experiencing some of that for myself right now. It's my entire body is being lit up with energy. And there's my timer. So I'm going to finish this. Finish that real quick. Yeah, we can finish this branch before I have to go. Maybe. You know what they say, was it Van Gogh? I'm not sure who said it, but the statement was, leave when you stop for the day. Stop somewhere where you don't want to stop. That way, when you start again, you're motivated to start. So that could have, it may have been Picasso. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Maybe Da Vinci. I'm one of those. Picasso, Da Vinci. I'm not sure which. Anyway, so I'm going to hit save here. We're done. We're going to be back tomorrow morning, and we're going to finish up this tree. Actually, I think we're going to try to get this tree finished tonight off screen. So when we come back, we'll colorize it, and then we'll add in the rest of the terrain, and hopefully have this finished, if not tomorrow, on Thursday. In the evening at 5 o'clock my time, 8 o'clock in New York, East time. I'll be participating in AJ Pickett's Atomic Punk role-playing game on Wally DM's channel. That starts, I think, at 5 this time. And then once that finishes, I'll be dropping back into my Eberron's, or my Spelljammer stream. My Thursday night Spelljammer stream. That's right. So all that's going to be happening. I'm out of here for now. Thanks a lot to everybody for sticking around, who've been around for the 300 episodes. We're about to get started on page layouts and get this thing published. And yeah, looking forward to tomorrow. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you then.